Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University.
Hello friends, I am Dr. Himanshu Patel, working as an assistant professor in School of Computer Science at Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University. I welcome you on the module Introduction to Dart Language in the course Cross-Platform Application Development using Flutter. Let us try to understand operators. So, on screen you can see different operators available in Dart programming language. So, we have postfix increment, prefix increment, arithmetic operators like plus, minus, multiply, divide, modulo division, integer division. We have shift operators, bitwise AND, bitwise exclusive OR, bitwise OR, and for comparison we have relational and type test, which is shown on the screen like greater than or equal to, greater than, less than equal to, less than, as, is and is not. There are equality operators also, which is a double equal to for is equal to and exclamation and equal to for not equal to. We have logical AND to combine two or more relational conditions. We have logical OR to combine two or more conditions. We have if null operator to check whether operator is null or not. We have ternary operator like conditional operator. We have cascade operator and we have assignment operators like is equal to, multiply equal to, divide by equal to, plus equal to, minus equal to and so on. And you can also see the associativity of operators on last column, which is either none, left or right, as in most of the programming language. So, these are the operators available in Dart programming language that we are going to use in a demonstration. So, you can better understand these operators. Right now, you can remember the operators and its symbol. Let us try to understand conditional statements. Like any other programming language, Dart also supports conditional statements. The first is a if else statement. So, on screen you can see example of if else. So, here we write down if, then condition, and in curly bracket that block is executed if that condition is true. Now, what if that condition is false? So, it will go to else part. So, inside else you can write down another condition, like here we write down else. First we write down if score greater than or equal to 90, then print excellent. If score is greater than or equal to 70, but less than 90, then we want to print good, and in other cases we want to print needs improvement. So, here first we write down if condition and second part we write down else condition or else if statement. So, Dart will check whether first condition is fulfilled. If it is fulfilled, then whatever written inside that block is print, and if condition is false, then it check for else if condition. If it is true, then that block is executed. If it is false, then it further check for other condition, and in last it executes else part, which is executed only when previous conditions are failed to be true. Another statement is switch statement like C programming language. So, switch take decision based on variables value. So, here we assign some variable grade to B, and then we write down syntax of switch. So, switch is a selection statement where it selects, it takes decision based on the value of variable and selects particular block for execution. So, here we write down different cases like case A, case B, and last we write down default. So, every case start with case keyword, then value of case, then we have to write down colon, and whatever statement we want to execute for that case we have to write down, and in last we write down break, which is similar to closing curly bracket of if else part. So, if variable value grade is A, then case A is executed, and using break it terminates that case and comes after switch statement. If case B is true, then that case is executed, and using break it will jump out of switch statement and start executing very next statement written after switch. And if all the cases are failed, then it execute default case. So, inside default we can write down conditions or statements that is not fulfilled in any of the case, and here we need not to write down break. Why? Because generally default is a last statement. So, after that switch is automatically terminated. So, here we do not write down break. So, this is how switch statement works. So, you have to remember syntax of if else statement and switch statement. Dart programming language also supports loops. So, here we take example of two loops. The first is for loop. So, syntax of for loop is for, and inside parenthesis you have to write down three parts. The first is a initialization, second is a condition which specifies how many times loop will execute, and third is generally counter variable increment. So, here we write down integer I is equal to 0. So, it starts executing loop from 0 until I becomes 5 or I is less than 5. So, when I becomes 5, this condition becomes false and loop will automatically terminated, and every time loop is executed, value of I is incremented by 1. So, initially I is equal to 0. So, it will print 0, then again it will repeat the same statement, check the condition. So, currently 0 is less than 5. So, it will increment I by 1, then print 1, again repeat same task, and it will print until 0 to 4, and when it becomes 5, it will automatically terminate the loop. So, we can understand to perform repetitive task we can use for loop, and generally to execute some statement for fixed number of times we can use for loop. So, what will be the output of these code? You can guess, it should be from 0 to 4, because when I becomes 5, that condition becomes false and loop will terminate. So, this is the output of our code that you can easily understand. Another loop to perform repetitive task is while loop, and if you want to implement same functionality using while, it should be like this. You can see on the screen that initialization part immediately before while loop, that condition part is written in while in parenthesis, and body of while loop is denoted by curly brackets, which is same like for loop, and inside body we write down statements that we want to perform repeatedly. So, here we want to print count and increment value of counter variable by 1. So, you can say for loop can be easily implemented using while loop, but initialization should be just before the while loop and condition should be within parenthesis of while, and increment part is at the end of loop. So, these loop will also produce same output. So, these are the two loops that you can use in your code to perform some repetitive task. For sake of simplicity, here we take very simple example, but any number of statement you can write down inside these loops and you can perform repetitive task. Now, let us try to understand how to use functions in Dart like any other programming language. So, function in Dart are used to organize and reuse codes. Function can return value or it may be void, which means returning no values. Let us try to understand how to define function. So, on screen you can see there is a main function, and after main we have write down another function called add. So, the first is a integer which specifies the return value of function, which is integer in this case. Then we write down name of function, which is add in this case, and after that we provide arguments. Arguments are value that is taken by functions and it performs some process on these values and return output in form of return value. So, here it takes two arguments, one is called a, which is of type integer, and second argument is specified after comma, which is again of type integer, and its name is b. So, whenever we call this function, we have to provide two values of type integer. And now, what add functions actually does is specifies using its body, which specifies using curly brackets. So, here you can see inside curly bracket we write down return a plus b. So, it returns addition or summation of both the variable. That is why we have named this function as a add, and whenever we call these functions we have to provide two arguments and it returns sum of these two values in another variable. So, this is how we define add functions. Suppose your functions contains only one line, what you can do is you can write down return statement like these also. So, in case of multiply function it again takes two argument, but here we use equal to and greater than, and then we write down only one statement which is body of function. So, here we write down a into b. So, it means multiply returns only multiplication of a and b. So, here is only one statement. So, we can terminate like this without writing function body if it contains only one statement. Now, let us try to understand how to call this function inside main. So, inside main you can see we have two variables a and b of type integer and its value is assigned to 10 and 20, and inside integer c we call functions add and provide value a and b with comma separation, and then that add function is called below main function. It adds to value a and b and returns that value inside c. So, now value of c will be 10 plus 20, which is 30, and when I call multiply functions I can assign its value to some variable of type integer because it returns integer value. So, here d assigns value 10 into 20, which is 200, and after that I can print value of a plus value of b is equal to value of C, and value of A multiplied by value of B is equal to multiplication, which is stored inside D. So, this is how you can use function inside Dart programming language. Main is a compulsory, all these functions are optional, and you can use that functions for code reusability. So, main objective of function is code reusability. The code that you frequently used are stored in a separate functions, and only we need to take value returned by the functions. So, another features of function is optional parameter. So, in previous case you have to always provide two values of type integer, but here we write down function called greet. So, it has a two arguments, one is of type string which is name. Optional parameters are specified in a square bracket. So, here you can see on the screen, inside square bracket we write down string title is equal to empty. What does it mean? If title is not provided, then empty value is used, and if title is provided by the user, that value will be used. So, this is how we can use optional parameter. So, inside greet we write down print hello, then dollar title means value of title variable, and then dollar name, so value of name variable. So, now let us come to main function. Inside main we have two variables, name is Himanshu and title is doctor. So, when I write down greet name means I have not specified second parameter. So, in that case greet will use title as a blank. So, it will print hello Himanshu, but when I specify two argument like Himanshu and doctor, so it will print hello doctor Himanshu. So, I hope you understand the use of optional parameter. Whenever some parameters are may or may not be provided by the user, at that time we can use the concept of optional parameter. Another feature is named parameter. In first case, user has to always provide value of AB in sequence. In case of optional parameter, the value may not be provided, but what if I want to change the order of argument while calling the functions? So, for that you can use named parameter. So, now I rewrite this greet function. So, here you can see on screen that we have to use required keyword to specify that these parameter is required. So, what does it mean? It means first name is always required, but here I write down string last name is equal to blank. So, whenever I call greet function inside main, so in first case we write down greet first name colon first comma last name colon last. So, Himanshu Patel is specified in a first greet call. So, that will print hello Himanshu Patel, but in second greet we explicitly say that the first value is a second parameter and second parameter is a first value. So, here we explicitly say that last name is last, but it is a specified at the first place. So, that last name will be passed to greet function in a second place, and in call we specify first name in a second position, but we explicitly says that first name. So, it will be passed to first name. So, this is how we can use the name parameter. So, in summary we can define functions and we can provide its argument either in order, may or may not be using optional parameter, and in any sequence using named parameter. So, I hope you understand how to define function, how to use default parameters and how to use optional parameter. Now, let us try to understand various Dart libraries. So, like any other programming language, Dart has a huge set of libraries with ready-made functions that you can use inside your code. You need not to write down code which is specified in this library. So, first kind of library is core library. So, example of core library is core, asynchronous, math, convert, IO, HTML. Then all these libraries are Dart library and code libraries. Another type of library is multi-platform library. Now, remember, all multi-platform libraries can be used with all platforms, whether it is a Android, iOS or web. You can use these libraries anywhere like core, asynchronous, collection, convert, math. All these libraries shown in a yellow part is available for all the platforms. Then there are native platform libraries. So, it work on Dart native platforms, which is ahead of time compiler and just in time compiled code. So, here on screen you can see all these libraries are available to its native platform only, and there are some web platform libraries which are available only on web platform. So, on screen you can see various libraries that is available only for web platform. Some library work on all platforms, some library works on native platform and some library works on web platform only. So, Dart has a rich set of core libraries that provides essential for many everyday programming tasks such as working on collection of objects like Dart collection, making calculations like Dart using Dart math and encoding decoding data using Dart : convert, and there are some built-in type collection and other core functionality. So, these libraries automatically imported into every Dart program. Another is Dart asynchronous, which supports for asynchronous programming with classes such as future and stream, and math library is used for defining constant and functions plus random number generator. Convert is used for encoders and decoders for converting between different data representation including JSON and UTF-8. Dart IO library is for programs that can use Dart virtual machine including Flutter apps, servers and command line script, and Dart HTML is for document object model and other APIs for browser based apps. So, this is all about Dart libraries. I hope you understand the purpose of Dart library. It provides huge functions that you can directly use inside your code. Now, let us sum up. So, in these module we explored the essential of Dart, the language behind Flutter. Dart's modern syntax, easy to learn structure and powerful features like null safety. As you dive deeper into Flutter, a solid understanding of Dart will enable you to write clean, efficient and scalable code. I hope you enjoy this session. Thank you and happy learning.